everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
My take on the Nolan Wells case, Bart did it. Now, this is allegedly, but I believe that Bart did it. I believe that Bart had some type of relationship with Katie. Katie was obviously with Nolan. Bart had a jealous rage seeing a young black male with a white female. We know in states like Mississippi, I see it all the time in my community, where white guys get jealous to see black guys with white girls. I've seen it a million times, and people who deny this are flat out lying. I believe what happened was that Bart put Nolan in a chokehold, and he didn't realize his own strength, and Nolan did not wake up. Hence the reason why we hear in the background of the CITO call, we hear, "Damn it, Bart, Nolan, wake the f*** up, is he dead?" All this is allegedly now. Well, if he just accidentally killed him, then why wouldn't they bring him to the police? Because Bart has so much to lose. He was the star football player on his way to the NFL. A manslaughter charge, whether it's involuntary or voluntary or a negligent homicide, is not going to look well on his resume and would obviously disqualify him from his NFL career. Because of his football stardom, and apparently he has a family with the same pedigree, he has clout around town enough to get people to remain silent, enough to help construct an alibi, and also put the fear of God in these kids. Tell them that you're also going to be implicated in this, and we're all going to go down. We're all going to be arrested. Also, why they tried to place Bart not at the scene initially. Now, they went on a speaking tour. Warren did the most talking, and listening to him talk with Officer Tatum, he almost did too much talking and told on the crew. Warren says that when they got the boat back, that he went upstairs to talk to the father of one of the kids. Rather than hanging out with everybody downstairs, he says that they were talking about boats up there. Now, why would you even bring this up? Like, why would this even be a part of the story if it was such an innocuous thing that you were just going upstairs to randomly talk to a father about boats? The reality is because they weren't talking about boats. They were constructing an alibi and a cover story. And when they came downstairs, it was automatically like, oh, what happened to Nolan? Where is Nolan? Has anybody seen Nolan? Let's call the Coast Guard. Why would they call CITO? Why would they call the Coast Guard? Because it creates a timeline. It creates like a paper trail of where they could have been anywhere but with Nolan. Also, why would you call the Coast Guard if you truly believe that Nolan just was behind with the girl Katie? Even if Katie had came back at that point, why wouldn't you think he's off with some other girl or doing something else? Why would you think something nefarious happened? Why? Because you had his phone and you knew that something nefarious happened. Again, this is allegedly. Let's smoke them out. What doesn't come out in a wash always comes out in a rinse.
This is a great take. Although this is all alleged, it's not even. This is all speculation. This is YouTube doing on YouTube, TikTok doing its thing. We don't know if this stuff is true. All we doing is listening to other people's opinions. And since everybody want to say that people are making this about race, let's hear it from a white guy. Okay. Let's soften the blow, okay? That's the point, is to soften the blow. Like, if we have people that don't look like us, that don't talk like us, that don't have the same culture as us, speaking out on this, we listen to it and we understand. Just like we listen to the people who oppose this situation, we listen to them. And we just take it with a grain of salt. We don't know until the investigation comes out.
Okay, before we get into anything today, I need you to hear something. Bart Edmiston's lawyer broke his silence. And he didn't just talk. He went on national television, sat across from Chris Cuomo, and made claims that directly challenge everything the internet has been saying about this case. But I need something from you first. Listen closely to the interview clips that follow. Don't just hear them, listen. Because the things this attorney says, and more importantly, the things he doesn't say, that's where this story lives right now. Ready? Let's get into it.
Even the enhanced audio is garbled mess. And so what I would say is, you probably are aware of this. There's all sorts of scientific research on this about the way the human brain processes and offers preference to certain types of input. There's a visual input preference over an auditory input preference. There's a famous experiment done around this, Chris, where two groups of people were put in separate rooms with a noise that didn't say anything. And they were told, one group was said that the noise was the word green needle, or words green needle, and the other was told that it was the word brainstorm. And they got put back together, and they both swore vehemently that they had heard either green needle or brainstorm because they had that visual cue. So I think there's a reason that reputable outlets have chosen not to run enhanced audio because if you're a reputable outlet, you try to figure out who put this together. Did they start with the original so that we know it wasn't corrupted from the beginning? Is there evidence of corruption that we can detect? Are the links the same? Does that person have bias? These are the questions you'd want to know before you put something in front of people with a written transcript that tells them what they should be hearing and then allow it to mislead people. We put zero stock in enhanced audio, quote unquote, enhanced audio. And I think that there's a reason that reputable outlets and candidly a lot of reputable audio experts are saying that people shouldn't either.
A categorical denial of any involvement, a claim of full voluntary cooperation, boat, GPS, phone, all turned over, a private investigation firm hired to track social media users, defamation lawsuits announced, and a credible death threat that brought in the FBI. This is not just a case about how an 18-year-old died on a barrier island. This is the story of what fills the vacuum when an investigation goes silent and the internet decides it won't wait. Think about what that means. Because right now, two things are happening at the same time. And they are pulling in opposite directions. On one side, the Jackson County Sheriff's Department is leading the investigation, with District Attorney Angel Myers McIlrath saying information tied to the Wells case will be sealed until it is presented to a grand jury. Sealed, not released. Not summarized, sealed. On the other side, the case has been subject to misinformation, conspiracy theories, and harassment and threats directed at those involved. And in between those two forces stands Bart Edmiston Jr., a 21-year-old former high school football teammate of Nolan Wells, who has now lawyered up, not because he's been charged, not because he's been named a suspect by any law enforcement agency. The Edmiston family says at no point in this process has Bart Jr. ever been identified as a suspect in Nolan's death, but because the internet decided he was one anyway. Here's the question we're sitting with today, and it's not the one most people are asking. Most people are asking, did Bart Edmiston have something to do with Nolan Wells' death? That's the social. Okay, before we get into anything today, I need you to hear something. Bart Edmiston.
And Bart Edmiston's coach has spoken out. Check this out.
Regarding the tragic death of Nolan Wells in Mississippi and the very public social media link to one of our players, Bart Edmiston, at no time since July 4th has we been aware in any way, shape, or form, and has it come to our attention, that Bart Edmiston has been a suspect, ever been a suspect, or currently is a suspect. We have no information that has ever linked him to this, okay? And so that's where that's at. We'll have no further comment on it until the official investigation is completed. Bart doesn't have a defense attorney and never has had a defense attorney. His family does have a personal attorney, Russell Latino, who was retained to fight defamation issued against Bart and his family. And so any other comment or questions that you want regarding that and Bart would be directed at Mr. Latino. But as far as us in the program right now, again, like I said, we have had no information. Nothing has been brought to our attention that he was ever a suspect or is a suspect.
Now, it is very interesting that he is speaking on this. Like he said, Bart does not have a defense attorney, but he does have Russ Latino, the only Latino I don't like. Anyway, I'm digressulating. The only comment the coach had was, "Damn it, Bart, why are you bringing all this attention towards our team that we don't want right now?" What do you guys think about this? What do you think about the coach speaking out? Let me know in the comments.
I think the coach speaking out, the coach should be speaking out for character. The coach should not speak out towards the case or anything because he doesn't know, he wasn't there. He could say whatever. As we think that there's some type of cover up somewhere along the lines, we don't understand. But what I've heard from the research and videos that I have watched, and I try not to form an opinion that'll change my mind, but it will change your mind. It's just like, damn, that makes sense. If one of the kids' mother is a judge, Bart is a superstar. Bart actually his family has money. His family has loan money. Like, I mean, he has people that have been to the NFL, and he's a prospect to go to the NFL. So he has the means to tell people like, hey, if I go to jail, then what y'all gonna do? Because y'all was riding my coattail on the way. But I think Bart made a mistake. If this is all alleged, if Bart had anything to do with it, I don't know. I'm not gonna blame Bart. But as time goes on, people start to close in on what actually happened. So there will be some form of clarity. We just trying to figure out where it's gonna come from, and if Bart had anything to do with it, because we heard his name being yelled in that Cito call. But if they're claiming Bart was not there, then why would somebody say, "Damn it, Bart"? Like, or what they said? What did you do, Bart? Like somebody screamed angrily at Bart because of everything. You know what I mean?
Nolan's former teammate and college punter Bart Edmondson has come straight under suspicion because in the background of the emergency call, a girl's terrifying scream of, "Oh my God," and the voice, "Damn it, Bart." The situation has become so serious that Bart's family has hired high-profile lawyer Russ Latino, who is filing major defamation lawsuits against those spreading rumors on the internet. Meanwhile, Bart's mother maintains that her son is innocent. Nolan's former teammate and college punter Bart Edmondson has come.
So he's filing lawsuits for people spreading false information. This is why I said I do not want to spread false information because I cannot afford it. I'm poor. I'm on Section 8, and my rent is due. My rent was been due. So please. Don't sue me, Bart. Okay. But I just tell you what, man. This is just a case of things just got out of hand. And when things got out of hand, kids was thinking on their toes. And some people decided, hey, okay, this is how we gonna do this. Y'all left it this time. These people left it this time. We seen this person with this. The key to this thing is Katie. The key to this whole thing is Katie, because Nolan's friends said that Bart left with Katie. And listen, this is a person in this chat. You can see their whole little thing. It says, what happened was everybody was drunk. Bart saw Nolan with his ex, Katie, mingling and flirting. Bart gets mad, arguing, and a fighting starts. Bart choked Nolan out to the point of no return. They realize Nolan is dead. They made a frantic call to dispatch, say their boat is sinking because they were going to stage an accidental drowning. After the call to dispatch, they called the owner of the boat, the granddad, and to fill him in on what happened and what they plan to do. Granddad says no because there's signs on the body that indicate he was choked to death. Granddad personally calls the captain and tells him, don't worry about sending help. The boys and the boat is fine. I also think that the judge, stepmom, granddad, and Wyatt dad all took Nolan's body back to the island where the boys went to the swim party later that night. They dumped him off face down to play the drowning card, hoping that they would take in enough water to become bloated, as if the cause of death was a drowning. Then they went home, cleaned the boat from all evidence, and started helping the murderers remember their stories so it could add up. Man, shout out to Jason for the $5. You all have fake information. Oh my God. Hey, I don't know who knows who has fake information. I didn't say this was real. I'm just saying this is information. But thank you for the $5 chat. I appreciate it. What up, Tay? Tay in the building, man. Shout out to my mod Tay, man. Y'all give him a hand clap because bro been missing in action. We've been lit every day. Shout out to Jason, man. I appreciate the comment, man. It's I get it. Like, I understand. Like, I don't know I don't know what's fake and what's real. I'm not coming in saying this stuff is real or fake, you know. And I wouldn't want to put. All I'm doing is spreading information. I'm bringing a heap of information to the table.
Media question.
Nolan's former teammate and
hold on 1 second. 02.
Media question. The investigative question, the one that actually matters legally, is this. When an official investigation goes quiet for weeks, and the public fills that silence with accusations, and those accusations generate real death threats, what is a lawyer's aggressive counteroffensive actually designed to do? Is it an innocent person clearing their name? Or is it about controlling the narrative before a grand jury gets to weigh in? And honestly, both of those can be true at the same time. That's what makes this so complicated. Let's walk through it. Before we go any further, if you are watching this channel for the first time, this is what we do. We go through the evidence, we cite the sources, we don't tell you what to think, we lay out what's documented, and we trust you to be smart enough to draw your own conclusions. If that's the kind of coverage you want, you already know what to do. Now, let's talk about the lawyer. Russell Latino said in a series of Facebook posts that he is representing Bart Edmiston Jr., who was visiting Horn Island on the day of Wells's death. Notice this. He didn't announce his representation through a quiet press statement. He didn't have a spokesperson release a two-sentence comment. He came out swinging. And the first target was specific. According to TMZ, Latino sent a cease and desist letter to social media figure Kimbra Lee, accusing her of pushing false and defamatory statements across her platforms. The 5-page letter alleges Lee falsely claimed that Edmiston helped cause Nolan's death and took part in a cover-up. 5 pages. That is not a warning shot. That is not a warning shot. That is a legal document built to be entered as evidence later. The letter reportedly claimed Lee had published Edmiston's address, photographs of his home, and that property records and information about family members' workplaces had been shared online. Now, from a legal perspective, that's significant because once you can show that someone published a person's home address alongside accusations of involvement in a death, you've crossed a very clear line. That's not commentary. That's targeted harassment. And any civil attorney will tell you that changes the calculus entirely. But the cease and desist was just the opening move. A private investigation firm was hired to track social media users nationwide. Let that sit for a second. A private investigation firm, tracking people across the country, not tracking evidence in the case, tracking the people talking about it. Because a defamation lawsuit opens the door to discovery, and discovery goes both ways. That line is critical, and we'll come back to it. Now let me give you the specific claims that Latino is pushing back against. Because if we're going to evaluate whether his denials hold weight, we need to understand exactly what's being alleged. The first allegation is the big one, the CTO audio. The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources released the recording of a distress call made by a teenager on a boat to a private towing company called CTO on July 4th. On the call, you can hear background commotion and multiple voices as the young man tells the dispatcher that their bilge pump has stopped working and they are sinking.
So that's just part 2. They don't have a part 3 yet. But the point is, that phone call, because when they called in, this is what happened. If y'all didn't listen to the call, what actually happened during that call was the call was being recorded when the call was made. There was an immediate pickup, but they were put on hold. And so if you listen to the actual call, there is background music, like, elevator music, whatever. So there was some elevator music, and then you hear people talking over the elevator music. And that is why the professional audio engineers, the black lady, of course, came out and said, I'm going to get this call. I'm going to take out all the background music, try to separate the speaking from everybody and try to get a clear understanding of what's happening. And she said, don't read the captions, read or just listen for yourself. Even though she put captions, she should have just said, listen for yourself. But what my thing is, why hasn't there been more than one audio engineer who has came out and said this? Do we only have one audio engineer in America who could separate audio clearly? You know why I think more audio engineers aren't coming out and saying, oh, I did this, and it doesn't sound like this? You know why? Because they're all getting the same thing. They're all getting the same thing. They're like, well, what they gonna come out and be like, oh, well, I tried it. I did the same thing too. I mean, mine's ain't no better than hers. In fact, she probably got a better quality than I did. Or they're saying, if they could debunk what she said, if these investigators you hired lawyers for could debunk what was said on that call, they would have done that. They would have hired their own professional audio engineers to take Bart out of the equation. But they haven't. So I'm interested to see what happens with that, man. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comment section.